Was Killmonger right? To be or not to be, that is the question. Now, I've tried to do this particular video several times, and neither time did it ever come or even start out right. And so I've had to sleep on this for almost a week to actually get something sort of pointing toward what I think is the truth. So here's my attempt for the fifth time to actually broach this particular question, because that is the question of the movie. There is a lot of themes going on that we could touch on. There's a lot of ideas that we can touch on. We could touch on the biggest broach of superhero movie, which is an event in itself. But we are going to touch on the theme that everybody is congealing around. Was Killmonger right? Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. I've said it again. Spoilers, spoilers, spoilers. Just as an aside, this subject can't just start at the apex where they meet up with the ideas. Killmonger was a son of a prince, the king's brother of Wakanda. And Killmonger's father was a Wakandan agent, a Wakandan spy that, in a sense, as the movie says, was radicalized. Which in itself, when you're radicalized for a good cause, is not a bad thing. When radicalized is wrong or radicalized is bad is when you betray your people, which he did. It's one thing for Killmonger's father to fight on the side of poor people or downtrodden people. It is another to go against his people's wishes. It's also another to cause harm to his own people. When he sent Claw to steal the vibranium, he caused many, many, many Wakandan deaths. He also caused the deaths of other people from the vibranium and the weapons that came out of that. So even though you were radicalized and thought you were doing the right thing, when you're caught, you have to know that you have to pay the price, that you are a traitor. And as a traitor, you have to pay your price. And he decided to pay the ultimate price, which was his life. Upon seeing his father's death and not really understanding what his father had done, Killmonger set upon a path of revenge. And there's an old saying, when you set upon a path of revenge, a journey of revenge, dig two graves. Ultimately, he got revenge on the two people that were involved, the two remaining people that were alive that were involved in his father's deaths. One was Claw, and the other was Shuri. Shuri was the spy that turned his father in when his father was betraying his country and stole the vibranium that caused the deaths. And T'Challa's father, killed him to save Shuri's life. Now, once Killmonger had set things in motion, got his training, and got ready to enact his plan through Claw by drawing the Wakandans out, getting the vibranium, killing Claw, and bringing Claw back to Wakanda, which is what the Wakandans actually wanted. That's what got him favor with one of the tribes. Then the tribes gave him access to a challenge to the throne, which matched him up with the son of his father's killer, the head of Wakanda, which was his plan always around, which was to avenge his father's death and carry out his father's mission. And as he stated, which was very clear, he went through all that training, killing on all these continents, just to get to the point where he could kill or cut off the head of the Wakandan leaders. killing the Black Panther. So you can't get around that, no matter what you feel about what his secondary motivation was. His primary motivation was very clear. It was not to free the people around the world. It was not to raise up the oppressed and the downtrodden. His mission was to get revenge for his father. People keep forgetting that. That was his primary motivation. So his prime directive, his primary motivation was wrong. His father was not killed because he was trying to help downtrodden people. His father was killed to protect the life. His father was killed because he was a traitor to his people. And Eric Killmonger wanted to get revenge for something that he would have done had he been in T'Chaka's place. So we want to get that clear right off the bat. His primary motivation was not to help people. It was get revenge. So in that sense, Eric Killmonger was wrong. Eric Killmonger is dangerous. Now, let's get to his secondary motivation, which is what people, Black people especially, vibe with, feel alliance with, even me. His secondary motivation, which is to help people of color around the world throw off their shackles, elevate their downtrodden position. As the prince once said, Machiavelli's prince once said, the end justifies the means. What Machiavelli and the prince don't say is that the means have blowback. And the means you use cause ripples, and those ripples sometimes come back to you twofold, such as Prince T'Chaka's or King T'Chaka's act to kill Killmonger's father and then abandon his father's body and the child because of guilt and shame. Sins of the father are visited upon the son, and his father's shame and guilt, as T'Challa said in the ancestral realm, created a monster of revenge. So too would Killmonger's action have created that monster. You want to kill and cut off the head of Wakanda, which initially you did, and you took over. And then your secondary motivation was to kill and cut off the head of white supremacy by exporting advanced weapons around the world, which he didn't think through because he was never trained to think through that. He's a soldier. He's a mercenary. He's not a diplomat, not a king, not a leader. Diplomats, leaders, and kings think long term. Killmonger was not equipped for that. The repercussions on Wakanda would have been immense. To start a global war on white people or people of other races by Black people would have been immense. The death rates on both sides would have been immense. Were there other ways of uplifting 2 billion Black people other than sending them weapons and making them targets? Creating billions of terrorists around the world, is that your mission? Because you were trained to do that. There's lots of keys in this movie. Even though he had Wakandan blood and he was a Wakandan prince, he had access or a path to the throne. A king or a leader has to have more than just skin color and the blood in your veins. It takes a lifetime, as T'Chaka told T'Challa, it takes a lifetime to make a king. A king just doesn't show up one day and sit on a throne. It takes passion to fight. It takes training to do battle and wage war. It takes a lifetime to gain wisdom on how to use power, which Eric Killmonger did not have. Now, we could go into various aspects of what happened and why he was not trained to lead and why he should have never been on the throne and why he's an instrument instead of a leader. Because the first thing is you did not think that you had full consent of your whole entire nation. You did not consolidate power. You did not gain consent of your governed. You're starting a global war on the outside, and you will soon have a civil war on the inside. Because that's exactly what you got. Regardless if King T'Challa had not been alive or not, if he had died, another Black Panther, another figure would have risen to challenge him for a throne, because without consent of the government, a tyrant has a very, very short leash, a very, very short lifetime. So if the world had not destroyed Wakanda from the outside, Wakanda would have been destroyed from the inside. So that's Eric Killmonger's first mistake. And I know a lot of Black people have passion about the ends justifying the means. And they don't think of what the means will cost. And doing the right thing could have a heavy price. But let's get into something that Agent Ross said from the very beginning when he talked about Killmonger. First thing he said accurately, which people didn't catch and didn't think on, is when he said he's one of ours. If you listen, that was the whole reason for Agent Ross even being there, is to add that in, to add that perspective. As far as Killmonger's path, the whole thing could have been summed up in one sentence, which Agent Ross said: he's one of ours. King T'Challa was wrong. Wakanda didn't create the monster. The United States did, which is something the United States has been afraid of since 1791, since Levant overthrew the French, that they created 48 million monsters, or potential monsters, in the form of Black people that they have downtrodden. So when Ross says he's one of ours, he is the monster that the United States and the United States government created. He is the one that went through MIT and went through special forces and killed all over the world in the name of the United States. He is the instrument that they created. So to cut off the head of what he thought was the leadership of Wakanda, that is what he's trained to do. He is the jackal that the United States created to do such a thing. In other words, Eric Killmonger was doing exactly what the United States wanted. Now, it would have cost them a lot. It would have cost them in blood for those weapons to be distributed, or the power of Wakanda to be spread across the globe. But ultimately, that is what the United States wants. So every step that Eric Killmonger did was precisely according to his training. Everything that was done was according to his training, as Agent Ross said what he did. Using Claw as a reward to ingratiate himself to one of the tribes. Finding a path to where he could actually eliminate the head of state. Taking over such head of state. Opening up Wakanda, as the United States has tried to do. Spreading the technology, and spreading the secrets, which is what it was against what the Wakandans wanted. Eric Killmonger was fulfilling his mission as an agent of the United States. Blindly, much like Black people do. Because ultimately, if you are socialized and trained in the United States, you do not think like a Wakandan, you think like a white person. Which is why most Black people in the United States have a passion, have an allegiance with Eric Killmonger, because like they say, I am Eric Killmonger. Even the rage that Eric Killmonger has was a monster created by the United States, not by Wakanda. Are we the bastard babies of Africa? Yes, we are. Are we the abandoned wretches of Africa? Yes, we are. Are we the product of our dead forefathers? Yes, we are. But we are a product of the United States. And Eric Killmonger is the symbol of who we are. But that doesn't mean that Eric Killmonger is right. And that doesn't mean that we are either. Because even if we go back to the continent and take over heads of state and sit on the throne, we have not eliminated or ejected the white mindset or the white brainwashing that we have between our ears. We're trying to create a Wakanda of our choosing on soil when we haven't created it in our minds. Instead of Killmonger going back to Wakanda, which was his right, and becoming a Wakandan, he created a United States, an America, or an anti-American, using Wakanda as an instrument. You can take the boy out the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out the boy. You can take the nigger out of the United States, or the United States out of the nigger. We are that instrument. We are that monster. We are that. And until we can eliminate that instrument, that mindset, that whiteness inside our brains, we cannot facilitate our full Africanness or our full blackness on soil. Everything Eric Killmonger did was according to his training by white people. Infiltrating, killing, destroying the path, the sacred path to kingship, because he didn't want any rivals to interfere with his plan. He didn't care about Wakanda or people knowing who Wakanda was, because he would have destroyed Wakanda, which he almost did. So, was Eric Killmonger wrong? Yes. And yes. Was his heart in the right place? Yes and no. Does the means justify the end, or the end justify the means? The answer is, at what cost of the means do you get the ends? And sometimes to get to the end, the cost is too high. What does it mean for man to gain the whole world, or people to gain the whole world and lose their soul, lose who they are, lose what it means to be who you truly are? That is the question that only each individual person can answer. And a lot of people emotionally side with Eric Killmonger and make him a hero. They side with his father and make him a hero. Emotionally. If you think about it logically, he can't be, or they can't be, because you cannot build a nation of traitors. You can't build a nation of killers. Even the United States and the Europeans learned that lesson. Stalin, Hitler, Khan, even Alexander the Great, who white people hold out as a hero, a conqueror, at the sword. At the end of the day, what happened to his empire? He got to the ends. What happened to the means? And at the end of the day, the means cost Alexander his life, poisoned by his teacher. At the end of the day, Eric Killmonger almost got his ends, but at the end of the day, he was killed by the people that he loved. Think about it. That's all I got. I'm sure that 90% of the people that will listen to this will disagree with me. And I say respectful disagreement is always wanted. But on this one, disrespectful disagreement will be deleted. Keep it classy. Keep it logical. With that, that's all I have. Something to think about. Something to ponder. As I have pondered your words and people's words on the net for a week, I ask you to do the same with mine. This is BGS out, and I will talk to you on the next one. Peace.